Good morning. My name is Benjamin Higby, Cave Crusher, and this morning I am going to talk about part two of this part one, December 2019 to April 2020 ground zero target of Rockefeller Operation Lockstep. What really happened with the WEF Rona psyop? If you have not read this article, I recommend reading it. In this part two, I am going to go through briefly on the bioterrorism attempts, March 2021 preparation for WHO nation smashing treaty. And I am going to go into this. Yeah. Last year, so called global leaders unite in urgent call for international pandemic treaty, World Health Organization. It reads 25 heads of government and international agencies come together in extraordinary joint call. New treaty would signal high level political action to needed to protect the world from future health crises. Basically, sending your sovereignty to the international organization backed by Big Pharma. And, they try to pay off these leaders, these countries. And you see a number of them are in Asian countries, African countries, specific Western countries, westernized countries. And you notice this this warlord, this cokehead puppet Zelensky, president of Ukraine, is among the ones that originally called for this globalist treaty. Notice something missing out of this list? Yeah, targeted countries. Targeted countries. And this is where the alternative media fails to really dig deep into and just continue its bashing of targeted countries and throwing them under the bus as everyone is on board, every nation on the planet. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. In their monolithic view, yeah. I wonder how many alternatives are going to really talk about the obvious news. And yeah, let me quickly get into Scott video. I recommend you watching the full video. So let me put it somewhere there.
India, China, South Africa, Iran, and Malaysia. Brazil, in particular, said members were very concerned about. Multiple other countries also said they had reservations over the changes and would not be supporting them either. These included Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, and Malaysia. Brazil, in particular, said it would exit the World Health Organization altogether rather than allow its population to be made subject to new amendments. In the end, the World Health Organization and its wealthy nation supporters were forced to back down. They had not given up, though. Far from it. Instead, what they did was what they always do, and they pivoted. At their request, a new working group was convened to make technical recommendations on the proposed amendments, which will be resubmitted along with the pandemic treaty at the 77th Health Assembly meeting in 2024. There's also been lots of pushback from the Republicans in the U.S., with a number of them introducing new bills giving the U.S. Congress and Senate powers to override any World Health Organization mandates or directives issued as part of any international agreements. One, called the No WHO Pandemic Preparedness Treaty Without Senate Approval Act, has 15 co-sponsors and was introduced to the Senate on Thursday by Republican senators or Senator Ron Johnson, who said, "The sovereignty of the United States is not negotiable." Here in Australia, we need to keep the pressure up on our own parliaments, both federal and state, and up the ante, and don't ever look sideways. Just brace for the digital ID now. And as the federal parliament reboots, and we need to push back at all costs on that from this week moving forward, I urge everyone who has not already done so to sign and share my Queensland Parliament petition on the IHR amendments and pandemic treaty, linked below. I'll post a link to this down below. Interestingly, you'll notice this. She included, or whoever wrote this, I think it was Stephen Andrew on the Pauline Hanson's One Nation website. Stephen wrote, these include Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, and Malaysia. That's the BRICS nations, folks. That's a consolidation of nations that are opposed to our globalization efforts. That's BRICS. So there you go, folks. Some good news. 47 nations in Africa? Are you serious? That's like almost all of them, isn't it? 47 Afro members. That's a lot. I guess they don't trust Bill Gates and Gavi anymore, huh? Gee, I wonder why. Anyway, like I said, this is from Pauline Hanson's One Nation. It is dated today. It is very early in this process. And I don't see anything to confirm it with as of the moment. There might be someplace, but I don't see it as of now. I'll keep you guys informed. I thought you would like to know that. It is some good news for once. Now, of course, it wasn't going to go into effect until 2024 anyway, and that will just give them 2 years to run around and try to pay people off, but they're never going to be able to pay off Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, and Iran. They might get to Malaysia, but I doubt it. And they might get to a few of those 47 Afro members, but I doubt that as well. Anyway, some good news for you on Memorial Day 2022. The World Health Organization has been forced to back down. They have lost for now. Take care.
The voting was on 25th of May, and that was Africa's Day. And a lot of African countries would lead in the pack. 47 out of 54 African countries said no. Yeah, 54 nations out of 193 or 94 nations in total said no. That tells you something right there. That tells you something right there. How many of these alternative outlets going to talk about these targeted countries standing in the way of World Economic Forum goals? But instead, they want to continue peddling Cass Sunstein propaganda Cold War rhetoric of totalitarianism and these monolithic schisms and all sorts of false dichotomy, pushing this narrative of everybody's on board. You know, anyone who is like against this, they're just shilling for China and Russia and other countries and their government, authoritarian government, and not looking at the bigger picture and not seeing that the world is not monolithic. There are countries that are pushing back and have been pushing back historically. Countries that were left leaning historically. And there are few countries on a still still to this day, are left leaning, and they are in Latin America and other parts of the world who are standing on the way of Davos agenda. Yeah. Something that was interesting about monkeypox that people forgot about in last year, about this the Merck family, um, this Merck corporation from America, where an international simulation in 2021 last year predicted a current monkeypox outbreak. This is posted by New York Post, and this article is May 28th, 2022. And they were doing this simulation exercise at the Munich Security Conference in March 2021 last year, centered on monkeypox outbreak, a rare and had the rare and potentially deadly hypothetical disease starting exactly when the real one did. The NTI US mogul Ted Turner, former Democratic Senator Sam Nunn, gathered a panel of 90 experts, including its puppets and their patsies, who were representatives from the World Health Organization and the UN, with researchers from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and major pharma companies to game out responses to a 12 monkeys like bioterror attack. What does that remind you of? What does that remind you of? What does that remind you of? Yeah, Event 201, October 2019. Yeah, you see these people? Yes. Same tactic like last March 2021. Yeah. They have 2 years left to really run around, rush around to get people on board to push this next treaty, this next pandemic. And nobody believes that Bill Gates anymore and trust him in these poor countries. I think he said something about a something will arise again. Last year he said something about that, about some another one around this time frame, 24, 25. Yeah, going around. Yeah, next 2 year monster diseases. I don't know if it's the next 2 years or whatever it was. I forgot, but I can't find it. But it was something like that to keep pushing this nonsense and pushing the idea of a bioterrorist. Um, you know, well, I can't find the latest, but anyone, I will put it on the video when I find it. But he's going around pushing scenarios of this bioterrorism in using the examples of airports. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what we've been talking about since this Rona psyop, breaking it all down. So I recommend everyone to read, really open your eyes and see, because it really shows that we have a fundamental problem, and the root stems from our economic systems in the West. That pushes these things, shoving down our throats. Cold War at home and abroad. That is our foreign policy. Davos is our foreign policy. Our governments have economic advisors. They answer to them, not to us. And this is the result. This is the result. Majority of countries captured, attempts to just take these countries, and among them, many among that outside of those 54 countries are westernized countries. What does that tell you right there? What does that tell you right there? Think about it. Think about it very hard. Because our neoliberal economic system, backed by neocons, is a massive problem. They're spending trillions of dollars to keep it afloat. Keep that confetti private central bank pyramid scam, Wall Street speculative scam intact. This is why they are desperate. This is why they're desperate for their children, not for their future, not for ours. Yeah, theirs. The future built by us for them. Theirs. All these thought leaders in the infiltrated, compromised, COVID skeptic community are not seeing the bigger picture right here. We created this mess. We designed this mess. Nobody else. These westernized countries. Us. Not China. Not Russia. Get that into your thick heads. I'm done with this. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.